Just when did you take 2 assists? You come in, you just happen to change the game. What went through your mind? And how did you feel like everything kind of came out in your first big game here at home?
Yeah, I'm still finding my feet. Before I came here, my last game was back in September or August, and then the one before that was back in January last year. So, I'm still finding my feet. The first couple of weeks here, fitness-wise, I kept myself good over, in my time off. But first couple of weeks, I felt like I had two right feet in training. But as the weeks have progressed, I'm starting to feel sharp again, starting to feel good with the ball. And in games like this, I know I've got to come on and make an impact. To get into the starting 11. I thought the boys were, excellent in the first half. They ran the opponents into the ground, and they made it easy for the subs to come on and make that impact. And we definitely did that. We created loads of chances. The scoreline probably could have been a lot more in the end. But it's onwards and upwards from there.
In your game, how important is it to, you're getting the primary assist zone, but you're also looking for other players? How important is that to get the other players involved?
Yeah, very important. With the likes of Nuhu in the second half, rotating with Albert. We had loads of options. Every time you got the ball, there was a free man. Everybody's making runs in behind. Nuhu's flying down the left. Albert's rotating in the middle, and when we got into the dangerous areas, at times we had 5 or 6 players in the opponent's box. I think the coach touched on. I think we had over 20 shots in the opponent's box alone. So. That shows where we was, getting a lot of joy in the second half, especially.
Obviously, you've only played some minutes, but what's been your first perspective on MLS in general, competition-wise, adapting to the league in that sense?
It's got its differences, but at the end of the day, football's football. One thing I found that everybody run, they run especially hard here. I've noticed that in the team that I'm playing in right now. If somebody gives the ball away, you can guarantee the man to the right or to the left of him is going to pull him out of trouble. It's a very humble dressing room. Everybody works hard for everybody. In terms of the opponents, one thing I would say is more end to end. Football, which is something I thrive in. A lot more open spaces. I was looking forward to carrying on playing these games.
The Sounders were playing well first half, kind of set it up well, but it seemed like once you got on the field, it just took on another level of kind of playing downhill almost. Was there anything that you felt like you had to do or that you were able to do to sort of help kickstart that?
Well, I know I have. I've come here, to make an impact for this team. I have to thank a lot of people for getting me here. I had a long time out of the game. Speaking to Sean, Craig, Adrian. Andy Rose was pivotal in me coming here from knowing him in the past. And I've got to thank the coaches, especially for for the time that I've been here. Brian, Preki, Freddie, Andy again, and all the coaches behind the scenes to get me up to where I need to be. I need to show them I can come on in these games and make an impact. To show them I'm ready to to go from the start now. I'm getting that. More importantly, I want to show. I need to remind myself as well. Like I said, the first 2 weeks I was there. Sometimes I was throwing over the ball in training, and I'm thinking I don't have it anymore. But coming on into games like that and reminding myself I can what I can do with the ball. I want to come and excite these fans. And they was amazing in the second half, especially. You could feel the energy around the stadium. And I'm looking forward to playing many more games.
Ryan, how's the energy in the stadium compared to maybe some of the other energies you've seen in other places around the world?
It's different, a different dynamic, different sort of feel. Like you said, different energy. maybe in other places I've been, there's there can be a lot more animosity in and around the ground. Especially if you're not playing well, you'll know about it. Hopefully, I've not found that out yet, so I don't know. We've been playing well so far, but yeah, I'm really enjoying my time here at the moment, and embracing playing in such an amazing stadium in front of good fans. So.
Off the field, how are you getting on with Seattle and with your teammates? Like, are you friendships with anybody in the room so far?
Everyone's been amazing. This has been the easiest dressing room to settle into. The lads have been amazing, welcoming me into the team. Making me feel at home. Some people said like Seattle can be a little bit like England in weather-wise. I've been lucky to land at the right time in the summer, so it's a beautiful place to live, and I'm looking forward to living there.
So Ryan, the coach says that you have to earn the minutes that you want to play. How's the competition among your teammates? How are they? When do we expect you to be like starter, or if it is your?
And that's probably a question for the manager rather than me. Since I've come here, the team's played really well. So there's not been a reason to change the team at all. Playing good football, getting the results that's needed. All I can do right now is just keep making an impact whenever I'm on the pitch. Whenever I've got the ball at my feet, keep working hard in training. Now I feel like I'm ready to really start playing again. So.